2 weeks,
That's so fast.
they were able to slow the growth of breast cancer. So food really has a big impact on whether your cancer progresses, whether or not you're able to prevent it from happening. Okay, so it's really very important. Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Simply Healed. We're so glad to have you back with us, the longest running series on cancer here on Facebook Live.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to have with us Dr. Jansen again.
Hello Sean, hello everyone, glad to be here again and welcome to another episode of Simply Healed. So tonight we're going to be talking about breast cancer.
Wow, that's one of the most common cancers and the most common questions that women ask.
Yes. Of course, we all know that once you get cancer, it's almost always a death sentence. But for breast cancer, it's not. Okay, it's not. Especially if you get breast cancer very early. So it's really very important to, of course, catch it very early. But more importantly, prevent it. Okay, so we're going to be talking about effective natural solutions. So this is not about chemotherapy or the other treatment modalities. We're going to be talking all about prevention naturally.
Today, Dr. Jansen is going to really share with you some natural things. And
Yeah.
this works together with conventional therapy as well.
Yes.
These are things that just work, right? If you were to follow them, it will just help your fight against breast cancer.
And we're going to be evidence-based here, everyone. So by evidence-based, we'll be talking about studies, okay, research studies. So please bear with me as I explain these studies to you in a short while, okay? Okay, so the first study that we're going to be discussing is the Black Women's Health Study. So the Black Women's Health Study investigated 50,000 African American women.
50,000.
50,000.
That's a huge study.
Yeah, it's a population
Wow,
study.
that's a huge study. That's very evidence-based, everyone.
Yeah. So during the span of the study, which they did for 12 years.
Oh my goodness, how do you...
It's a decade.
Wow, they really followed up with the
Yes,
patients.
yes.
50,000 patients for 12
For
years.
12 years, yes.
This is something that we should really look into the results,
so
right?
you can just imagine the scale of this study and then and the results that we can get from this type of study is going to be really reliable.
Very reliable.
Yeah.
Very
Okay?
reliable.
Because of the sheer number of people, because of the sheer number of sample size. Okay, so during that time, some 450 patients developed new estrogen receptor negative cancer. So when we talk about estrogen receptor negative, that is one of the most virulent cancers
For breast cancer.
For breast cancer. Now, they took a look at their diet, the different diets of this 50,000, and they found out that women who ate at least 2 servings of vegetables per day reduced their risk of breast cancer by 43% compared to those who ate half a serve per day. So
Wow.
what is one serving?
Yeah, I was about to ask what is
one
one
serving? One serving is just a cup.
A cup.
But the main point of this study is that for you to prevent breast cancer, you should be eating more fruits and vegetables. Okay, more. Okay,
So it's very safe
Yeah.
if you eat more vegetables than meat.
yes.
Then you for sure know that
Yeah.
you have eaten your 2 servings
Yes.
of vegetables.
Okay. But when you go for a consult, I prescribe more. It's not just
Even
2
more.
servings. It's going to be more.
It's gonna be
okay?
all vegetables.
It's going to be all vegetables. So if you go for a consult, just so you can have an idea, okay? The number of servings of fruits and vegetables, different plant foods that you're going to be eating throughout the day is going to be at least 9 servings.
At least 9 servings.
At least 9 servings. But I arrange on how you can follow it practically. Now, next, we will be discussing about the Women's Healthy Eating and Living Trial, or the WELL trial. Okay? So in this trial, we just show that what is more important, eating a plant-based diet, exercise, or no exercise at all in preventing cancer. And this have shown that although eating more plant foods is very important, but exercise or physical activity is also equally important. And if you do both, the benefit is going to be enormous. Okay, so as you can see here in this slide, those who do exercise, who have enough physical activity, those who eat a plant-based diet have less than 5% likelihood of dying from breast cancer. Okay, so these patients are already diagnosed with breast cancer. Okay, now if you don't exercise, then it's about 10% likelihood, no, of dying from breast cancer. And if you do exercise but your diet is not really that good, it's about equal. But if you don't eat enough fruits and vegetables, if you're physically inactive, yeah, that would increase to about 11%.
So it really seems that the solution is you have to have both.
Yes.
Eat good foods and vegetables and exercise.
And move. Okay, so eat good food and move. Okay, so very important. Now, women who had been treated for cancer and then followed a healthy diet and exercise had the best outcomes. The risk of dying from cancer was cut in half. Okay?
Wow. And Doc, if we combine that with today's protocols like chemotherapy plus PPAR protocols, you already have a 90% chance of...
the benefit will be more.
So it will almost be 100% sure that you will not die from breast cancer.
Breast cancer, yes. Well, of course, we're talking about breast cancer here, no? So it really depends on the staging when you were first diagnosed.
Yeah.
So for more advanced breast cancer cases, of course, we want for us to achieve complete remission, but the probability of achieving so is really very low. So that's why it's very important to get treated as early as possible. Okay, and of course, you have to be able to prevent it from happening. So that's the more important.
So any of you who need a refresher on how often you should go for a mammogram and things like that, stay tuned for our AMA segment after this, which I'm sure some of you will be asking, how often, Doc, should we get a mammogram? But let's continue with the actual topic.
Let's continue. So how did this happen? No, do we really have an evidence that the breast cancer was really by doing these exercises, this plant-based cooking, these plant-based diet, no, how were they able to
confirm?
Yeah, to confirm that the breast cancer cells are actually dying and the spread is actually stopping. Okay, so this study actually showed that those women who go on a plant-based diet and who exercise actually lost weight. And together with their weight loss, the researchers also looked at the rate of growth of the breast cancer. So before they went into this regimen, okay, so this regimen was only for 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks of eating healthy and exercising.
Oh, just 2 weeks.
This is just 2 weeks, so you can just see how effective this is. So before the diet, breast cancer cells, 3 types of breast cancer cell lines, all are growing 100%, as you can see on the red bars. Okay?
So the bottom is the different types of breast cancer.
Yeah.
All right.
The x-axis, different types of breast cancers, and then the y-axis is the rate of growth. Okay, of each.
So all is 100%. I saw
all 100% before the trial. And after the trial, after 12 days, no.
12 days, just 12 days.
All the patients, cancer cells slowed the growth.
Oh, that's fantastic, because what we all want in the treatment of cancer is to buy more time.
Yes.
More time for everything to work.
Yeah.
So when you can slow down the growth of the tumor, you bought more time. More time for you to take your PPARS, to go for your chemos if you need to, you know, and that's just a lifesaver. So 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. They
were so fast.
They were able to slow the growth of breast cancer.
Wow.
So from this, okay, so the image on your left is the breast cancer cells dropped on the petri dish. Okay, then they got the blood of the participants and then dripped it on the petri dish, and on your right is the after effect.
Wait,
okay?
So the blood of the participants actually was hostile, and it caused the breast cancer cells to dissolve. Oh my goodness!
And that is in just 2 weeks. Okay, you can just imagine they were able to stop the growth of breast cancer cells. And another one, okay, were they just be able to slow down the growth? Actually, no. They were able to actually see the breast cancer cells die. Okay, it's not just slowing the growth, but actually killing them. Okay, so in this graph, So again, the x-axis are the different breast cancer cell lines, and the y-axis is the apoptosis or the cell death.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you here, Doc. I'm just gonna flash up on the screen. Everybody, let's learn this word, because if you are joining us every week on the topic of cancer, you've got to know what apoptosis is, right?
Okay.
So apoptosis is the natural cell death.
Yes,
and
it's
this
just cell death. Okay,
Alright.
so it's just the medical term for cells dying.
cells
Okay,
dying.
so apoptosis. All right. So before the trial, 100% of the breast cancer cells are there. But after the trial, the green bars, you can see breast cancer cell death increased.
Wow, increased by 25%
Yeah,
for the first
25%,
one.
which is really
Increased
huge.
by almost 30%, 25%. Oh, that's just great.
Yeah.
Imagine slowing the growth and then
killing-
dying it themselves
Yeah.
too. Wow.
Okay. So as evidence, this is what we call as tunnel imaging. Okay. So this imaging actually shows DNA fragments. So it's a measure of cell death. Okay. So the image on your left, the black image is we don't see any
No casualties.
Yeah, no casualties. You do not see any DNA fragments. On your right, it lights up like a Christmas tree.
So these
right?
are like the broken parts
Yeah.
of your
Those are the
cancer
broken
cells.
parts of your cancer cells.
Wow, that's
Alright,
just great
so
news.
can
You want to
just
see your
imagine.
cancer cells broken up. That's what
Okay.
we want, right?
So yeah, of course, we really have a lot of evidences that breast cancer cells can actually die. We can actually slow down the growth.
Yes.
But of course, we cannot just rely on these natural solutions alone. Of course, it's cancer that we're dealing with. So if you develop cancer, it's almost always a death sentence now. Okay.
Or you guys, number one, just go for a consult with Doc Jansen. Now you know, right, that a simple consult just on your dietary plan is going to have a real impact on your cancer fight for
Yes.
cancer.
So food really has a big impact on whether your cancer progresses, whether or not you're able to prevent it from happening. Okay, so it's really very important. Okay.
But Doc, you were right. You were about to say, but what happens if the cancer is more serious? If it has already gone to a
Then-
more advanced
Yes.
stage.
Then we have to use all the modalities that are available to us. Okay.
So that would mean chemo.
Yeah, that would mean your chemo, radiation therapy, hormone therapy, immunotherapy, surgery even, no? So it's really very important that we use all of these modalities to fight cancer. Of course, we have to still look at our case, no? We should be able to fulfill we should be able to fulfill the criteria of these treatment modalities, because not all treatment modalities such as this will be applicable to you, especially if you have specific kinds of breast cancer or specific types of breast cancer. Okay, but nevertheless, if you are undergoing radiation therapy, chemotherapy, which is still the more common treatment modalities for breast cancer, it would be the side effects that is the number one
Yes,
cause
everybody
for
is
concern.
afraid of the
everyone
side
is
effects.
afraid, and more often than not, people actually don't.
They
finish-
actually stop
Yeah, they
because of
actually
the side effects.
Actually, the statistics, the number of the percentage or the proportion of cancer patients who drop out from chemotherapy, radiation therapy is actually 30%. So
Wow.
out of 100 of cancer patients who undergo chemotherapy, radiation therapy, about 30 of them drop out
Just from side effects.
because of the side effects. So they are not able to finish. So we
and
have
for these 30 patients, it might the chemo might be working for them.
it might be working, but
They couldn't
it's just,
take the
they
side
cannot take the side effects, so they stop. Or the oncos see that we cannot continue with chemotherapy anymore because your blood cell counts are already too low. So here's a solution for that. Okay, why is the blood cell count so low? It's because chemotherapy, radiation therapy almost always destroys the bone marrow, and it's the bone marrow where the blood cells are formed. Okay, so if the bone marrow is poisoned, it's destroyed, then blood cell counts will naturally go down. You'll be prone to infection, be prone to anemia. You can be prone to bleeding. Okay, so all these side effects. So there's actually a way or a product that I usually prescribe to prevent bone marrow toxicity, which is actually Simply Nature PPARS. Okay, so here's the evidence behind it. Okay.
Wow, look at the picture. The top one, because this was the research that we did, at Simply Nature. So we actually tested our Simply Nature extracts with cisplatin.
Yeah.
It is one of the chemo drugs being
Yes.
used for breast cancer.
Yeah.
And what happens, you can see on the top row is a healthy bone marrow. What you see on the second row is what happens when your bone marrow comes into contact with your chemotherapy drug. You see how it breaks up, how it's being damaged and destroyed. And the last row you see, which looks almost the same as the top row, which is a healthy bone marrow, is when we expose chemotherapy drugs together with the Simply Nature PPARS extract. And you can see it has protected the bone marrow, which means, like you said, Doc, your red blood cell, white blood cell counts are all going to remain high. You're going to be healthy for the rest of your immunotherapy, your chemotherapy.
Yes.
All this is very important.
Okay.
So I think I see the questions coming in.
Questions are already pouring in, so I think we can go now to the Ask Me Anything segment. So
again, thank you very much for joining us on this episode. Let's go to the questions.